this is boring, this is boring, this is boring. Oh, okay. One other thing I didn't talk about is that Caster Semenya thing, right? The fact that she has more levels of testosterone is it called, in her body, so that gives her this unfair advantage over her female counterparts. Is it called counterparts? But on the races, it gives her advantages, so it's thought of as giving her advantages over the other athletes, right? So that's why she's winning, right? That's what they say. That's why she's winning most of the races. It's because the testosterone in her body, the higher levels of testosterone in her body makes it easier for her to defeat to run faster than other athletes in the race. Man, this is a complicated topic, this one. I'm seeing people approaching this thing lightly, right? Like it's clearly defined. The right and the wrong in this case, but we don't see that as a case. As a case in this case, that I might have to scrap this podcast and restart. But I have to do that. Okay, the thing is, here's the problem. I haven't sat down and talked about this and thought about this. Oh, there comes the answer. This podcast is my way to think through things, right? So let's think through this thing of Caster Semenya being having a lot more testosterone, meaning she is more muscular or whatever, and more maley. Is it maley? Because I think women also have testosterone, but their levels are far too low compared to males, right? But then some bodies, due to their genetic constitution, some bodies will have or will produce more testosterone for ladies, right? So if you want to cheat, right, in these sports and whatever, as a lady, I think as a guy as well, you can do it. I'm not sure. I think guys do it as well. Testosterone, right? So you can inject yourself with testosterone. How to pronounce this thing, man? Testosterone. Yeah, I'm good. Testosterone. Right? I think you can inject yourself with this so that you raise your levels, and then you get what? You get all the benefits that go with having more testosterone. What are those benefits? I think those benefits are all those things that makes men more men over women, right? Things like your muscles, body, was a structure, having was this growing taller, and then having this body structure. See, being more manly, is that what it's called? Being more manly, but having this structure that is ready for destruction, ready for action, ready for fire. See, all those things of manliness. Is that what it's called? I think you understand. I'm not sure how dumb do I think you are, but I think that's the function of a testosterone, right? So it makes you more muscular and whatever. That's why men are more muscular than women, right? For fighting and all those physical activities, men are more suited genetically, physically, right? So, okay, testosterone manufactures involving development of muscle bulk and strength. So it increases neurotransmitters and cardiac tissue growth, also interacts with the substance DNA, which causes protein synthesis, because the level of growth, levels of growth. So, right, this coupled with exercise means you'll be more physically nourished, right, to overcome. Man, my English sucks, but it means to be more physically nourished to what's this? To undertake or to be successful in physical undertakings, right? All things that require physical strength, right? So in this case, that this ruling has been made now that if levels are higher, if testosterone levels are higher than the normal female, it means that there is need for them to be reduced. There is need for you to be injected with whatever. Okay, so I understand that point, right? You can't have a male competing with females, right? So if one is more muscular, shows more maley, not shows more maley. See, if one has that advantage, it's unfair for the other participants or athletes who do not have the same genetic constitution, right? Who do not have the same hormone in their body. Here's where it gets tricky, right? So this person, since their childhood, they've had these levels of testosterone, right? It's been there all their lives. It's not like it's something they inject whenever they exercise and before the race or whatever. It's been there all of their lives. All right. To say now, after all these years of you practicing, of you running and whatever, you've gotten this good because of this hormone. We're going to inject you with this to decrease the level of testosterone in your body, right? This doesn't only affect their athletic life, it affects their personal lives as well. Their lifestyle, it's gonna be affected, right? If you're reducing this testosterone level, okay, ignorant me, I didn't read how they're going to implement this thing, but to be correct, it means they'll have to implement it by her taking a regular injections of this, I think they call it suppressant or suppressor, to decrease the levels of testosterone in her body. Ethically, I don't see this as being right. Ethically, or is it ethically or morally? Morally and ethically, are those different? I understand why they do it. They want to do it. But there are consequences which they didn't take into account. How will this change this person's life now? His lifestyle or her lifestyle in this case. Her lifestyle as a whole is going to be changed by this. How quickly she gets tired, maybe. How fast her muscles recover, maybe. And it's a lot of factors, man. It's a lot of things, right? It's not like she's been taking what's this? It's not like she's been taking injections to give herself an advantage over other athletes, right? Her body is naturally suited, right? And you're going to ask now, isn't it then that because it's not only her who has that sort of body, isn't it then that those people who have higher testosterone, isn't it that those are the people who are actually suited for the competition in the first place? Right? You can't take cheese boy or cheese girl and put them into a ring for wrestling, not even wrestling, for boxing, right? You need manly men, right? You need guys who are going to wreck you up, right? You can't just take me, for example, or someone who is, I'm not sure how to say, weak. We use weak in our language, calling someone weak, sort of saying they are less of a man in some way, right? That's tough. Saying someone is less of a man, that's very tough, that's insensitive, but we use that language. Might come off as being ignorant, I'm not sure. Okay, let me check my laundry now. Yeah, I have to go and check my laundry and I'll come back and continue this thing. Oh man, didn't close the thing now. See, this is a problem. Okay, so I was talking about this thing and this Caster Semenya ruling and whatever, and how it's not as simple as we might think. And I think there is an article now, it's thecard.com. So after the ruling, there's been 2 athletes now who have been left out of the team in Kenya. Is one holds, it's, whose name is Imali, what's the name of this, the names, Matimila Imali and Evangeline Makena, right? So Imali has 400 a record in 400 meter race. Man, okay, so yes, let's get the facts straight in this situation, right? So the article goes on to say Imali was sidelined in the World Championships in 2015 when a blood test showed she had hyperandrogenism, a condition that causes the body to produce more androgens than average, right? For women, average means 0.12 to 1.79 nanomoles of testosterone per liter of blood, right? For men, it's 7.7 to 29.4 nanomoles per liter. In 2018, the IWF regulation mandated that female competitors must have maximum of 5 nanomoles of testosterone per liter of blood to compete in a women's event, unless they meet a certain criteria like a willingness to take testosterone blockers. Okay, so we need to have like an understanding of these blockers before we make a judgment of some sort, because if these blockers are taken only before the competition, there's still a problem of, well, if it's before the competition, is it now before the training as well? If it's before the training, then maybe you're training under the same conditions as you'd be running, so you're having the same less testosterone in your training session. Okay, so someone just interrupted that one. Where was I? Okay, so I was talking about this thing. What's this? Is it you take it only during your gym sessions and then before the race? And then does that not affect your life afterwards? Right? Those suppressors or blockers, do they not affect your life afterwards? Do they not change something with your life now? How long do they last? Right? It's those types of questions that I have. Okay, Semenya, a South African runner, a two-time Olympic champion, has been pushing. This is the cat.com, if you didn't get that. Has been pushing back against the IF hormone for a decade ever since the federal application to take a gender verification test in the wake of a remarkable rape she ran in 2009. Semenya says the IFF specifically targeted her with a campaign to qualify what is normal in terms of athletes' naturally occurring hormones. Their guidelines, she said, are discriminatory, unnecessary, and unreliable, and disproportionate. Man, those are many words. Discriminatory. I think it's a lot of people who've been using this sort of reasoning that these are discriminatory in terms of race, to say, because there are female athletes competing with Caster Semenya who've been complaining white most of the time. So people are saying they are attacking her because she's black. Then unnecessary. I'm not sure if these are unnecessary, unreliable, and disproportionate. Unreliable and disproportionate. Okay, the regulations, I think there was a doctor who said the regulations are premature to be implemented because of the understanding they have for them, right? They don't have enough to conclude to make a conclusion, to say this is how this thing should run, this is how we should implement, or we should regulate, we should go about tackling this issue of some female athletes having more testosterone than other female athletes, right? That was the problem. Some doctors, so if it's a doctor, you might have some trust, right? That person should be an expert, at least in that case. But I think it's necessary we should know about these things, and maybe there should be a discussion, and all sides should be heard, right? And an appropriate decision must be taken. Maybe I agree with unreliable and maybe disproportionate. I think I agree with most of what she said. Okay, not most of what she said. Racist. Man, I'm not sure about that one. I don't think I'm qualified to even try to take apart. Okay, as an Olympic swimmer, Casey Legler pointed out in an essay for the cat, athletes' bodies may present all kinds of naturally occurring advantages. Large hands and feet that help propel Legler in the water, an unusually low level of lactic acid that prevent Michael Phelps' muscle from tiring as quickly as his competitors. The IFF has not felt compelled to regulate, and high level of autonomy may help to a number of biological failures like polycystic ovary syndrome, which affects estimated 1 in 10 US women. Imali told the IFF, the East African, that she and a teammate took blood tests Friday before I've made, and this is a skin supplement. I'm not ready to quit and whatever. Man, yeah, this is a huge issue. This one, as I've been saying, I think they're correct to say that it's premature to make a decision of this sort in these type of instances. And as I was saying, isn't it that you're weak to compete in this, and not that the other people are too strong? Who argues for that? Who makes a decision for that? Right? Should you be an average woman to compete in these sort of what competitions, or is the competition actually for strong? No. This thing of using strong and weak women, should you have low levels of testosterone to compete in these sort of athletics or whatever, or are these competitions, or is this competition only for people with high levels of testosterone? Who is to say that? Who decides on that? Right? Then there comes an issue of other genetic constitutions, right? Because we only considering testosterone is a problem. As I was saying, how will that affect her life? Because her body should depend on that in some way, because it's all that it has been used to, right? So man, this is very complicated, and it's a problem. And then brings the question all over again, what about the other competitor or the other competitions, or in Olympics, not just running, right? People who have big hands or feet, in terms of which gives them advantages in terms of swimming. What about that? Should we reduce their hands? Should we say no, you have to have these size of hands or feet in order to compete in this, right? And then there is levels of lactic acid, which prevents muscles of this other guy from tiring. What should we do with that? Should we give this guy more lactic acid, make him more tired or tire easily as the other competitors? Who's to decide? I think this decision was premature, obviously, but I think this is something that should be studied, right? Because it's fascinating, and yeah, it wasn't something to be just. I think the decision is too much premature, right? Because who decides who's more suitable to run in these races, right? Yeah, man, that's my opinion on this thing. That's my 2 cents. It's more complicated than one would think, and I can imagine how stressful it should be for the people involved, right? This brings there is this thing of transgender women competing with females. I think people who support this ruling sort of take their reasoning from that, is it anger, or take their reasoning from that experience. I'm not sure if we call it experience or whatever, but there is this debate whether transgender males should compete with transgender males. Is it males now? Do you call them a male or female? Transgender females, so people who convert from being a male to being a female, should we allow those people to compete with normal females normal, like as in this person was born a female, right? Should we allow those people to compete with each other? That's a no, for various reasons. For the fact that we don't have competitions where males compete with females, because as much as that person is now a female or considered a female, their genetic constitution, all of their life, they've been male, right? So their body, they have an advantage over a normal female, right? But then to use that reasoning to say, okay, what about someone who has naturally occurring high levels of testosterone in their body? Should we now block their testosterone? Man, I think it's more complicated than that. And is it only the testosterone that I've not studied this, so I appreciate some expert opinions whenever I get viewers. But is it only testosterone that determines how quickly or how fast one is in terms of these races, running and whatever? Yeah, it's complicated, and the ruling was premature, I think. Okay.